How's it going, citizens, taxpayers, and future victims of mayoral extortion? Welcome to another episode of this show, where reality is stranger than fiction, and the shamelessness of our leaders surpasses that of any cartoon villain from the 80s. If you thought politics in Mexico was boring, it's because you haven't seen how the liquor of impunity is distilled. In Tequila, Jalisco, make yourselves comfortable and get your shot glass ready. If the criminals let you buy one without charging you protection money, because today we're going to break down how Morena works. Did the Party of Hope serve us another bitter shot flavored with organized crime? Enjoy this corner of reality that hurts, but here we tell it with a bit of sarcasm to make it go down easier. I'll also discuss the New York Times article. The paper the palace says is only good for wrapping avocados, but published it anyway. A truth that can't be erased, even with a public cleansing or a good shoe shine. Sit down, because what's coming can't be fixed by another 100 programs like Youths Building the Cartel. Sorry, the future. Let's get to it. You were told, you were warned, it was shouted in your face over and over again. But of course, in the fourth transformation, they have a superhuman ability to be deaf to the truth and blind to complaints. Unless, of course, the water is already up to their necks and they need a scapegoat so that Madam President doesn't look so bad in the morning press conferences. Let's talk about Diego Rivera Navarro, the brand new and now detained mayor of Tequila. This guy didn't come out of nowhere. They didn't find him in a town fair raffle. He was nominated, promoted, and blessed by Morena, even by Claudia Sheinbaum herself. She went on tour, supporting him, patting him on the back, and assuring the people that with him, honesty would arrive. Brave, and I'm not the one saying it. Here's the video to show him whenever he denies it.
This June 2nd in Tequila, vote 10 for our next municipal president. Let's give him strong support. Tequila is extraordinary. Also, that's where this drink of the gods comes from, and we need to support him so that we can finish the dam and also build a bypass. Call him because I and the others fully support him. This June 2nd vote for 2 candidates from our movement.
What honesty! It turns out that the only courage Diego Rivera had was charging protection money to the biggest tequila companies in the world, protected by a Jalisco New Generation cartel cell. But the best part comes later. It turns out that Chachis, in her morning conference from Morelia, said she just found out about this little angel, really. Does she really think we're as foolish as her followers? Someone please give the doctor some consistency.
What she did at the time, since she was a Morena candidate, was to ask the Attorney General's office and all those who were candidates for local deputies, federal deputies, municipal presidents or governors, if there is any investigation file, and to the state prosecutors of any of the related people to be candidates. And in none of the cases, the answer was negative in all the candidates' cases. Let's say there's no other element one could have besides the information from the authorities. So in that case, both from the state prosecutors and from the Attorney General's office, there was no investigation file nor any
indication that there could be a link to organized crime.
Or that upon arriving at the municipal presidency, it was going to be an act of corruption.
It would be bad to know but not act.
So once the complaints were made, the investigation was carried out and the arrest happened. Yesterday it was revealed,
with an Oscar-worthy poker face, that the arrest of Daniel N., or Diego, since they can't even decide how to list him in the file anymore to make it look less bad. The Morena Party logo was due to an investigation opened after complaints from business people and citizens. She even admitted that some complaints were delivered to her personally.
And particularly in the case of Tequila, I even personally received complaints from local business people, from citizens, men and women, who were complaining about the situation they were experiencing and were accusing the municipal president. From there and other complaints filed directly with the Attorney General's office. This whole investigation was opened, which finally led to this arrest. Yesterday,
something to think about. If the complaints reached him personally, why didn't they do something? Since the guy wanted to shut down Jose Cuervo's plant to take action. Well, it turns out that the super cop, the Batman of the Mexico City market, is now turned into the Robin of the nation. Omar Garcia Jarfuch came out to say that Operation Swarm has no colors and that there is zero tolerance for impunity. That's a good joke, Omar. I almost believed it. In the early morning of Thursday, February 5th, they went after Rivera Navarro on suspicion, the mayor from Jalisco. Pablo Lemus had to step in back in December 2025 when the mayor, in a fit of absolute power, shut down, specifically the Jose Cuervo plant. Picture the scene at the presidency. Jalisco, back in December, when the mayor, in a fit of absolute power, shut down the Cuervo plant, the city's presidency. Lemus, back in December, in a fit of absolute power, shut down the Cuervo plant.
It's very important for you to know, because this mayor is from Morena, no political party, and especially not Morena, can be a shield for committing crimes or for corruption.
Jalisco presidency. In December, the mayor, in a fit of absolute power, shut down the plant presidency of...
By December, the mayor, in a show of absolute power, shut it down.
If Morena isn't a shield for criminal activity, then why do they keep protecting those involved with tax fuel theft? Why are Congresswoman Maria Elena Perez-Jan's complaints against Senator Adán Augusto López being ignored? Are they just sitting at the Attorney General's office? Is it because Adán Augusto's shield comes straight from the Palanca states? No swarm operation, just a silence operation. No thorough investigations, only top-level political protection. Why? And for whom? Chacha del Bienestar often claims she's in control, has a strategy, and follows zero impunity as her mantra. But then Mary Beth Sheridan from the New York Times comes along and reminds us of what we all suspect while watching the news. The problem isn't that the cartels do whatever they want. The problem is that the state has the cartel's voter identification card in its wallet. The journalist, with that cold American demeanor that irks many at morning press conferences, drops the bomb. Fighting the drug cartels isn't just about sending the army to take pictures of them from afar. For Claudia, fighting organized crime would mean dismantling the very foundations of her own local power. What a dilemma. Do you go after the one who protects your turf? Or do you risk Morena deflating like a children's party balloon in next year's midterms? Donald Trump, that orange character we so miss in diplomatic nightmares, says Scheinbaum is afraid. And look, Mary Beth Sheridan gives it an interesting twist. It might not be physical fear, because here we're all very brave with someone else's budget, but rather political fear. The Maroon Party, a social justice movement claiming to differ from the Institutional Revolutionary Party, is still filled with Institutional Revolutionary Party members. It has several high-profile figures, with records that would make Al Capone look like an altar boy. If Claudia listens to Trump and launches a real offensive, she'd have to arrest half of her party. Let's be honest. Who will run the elections if all the local coordinators are in the Highlands or a New York court? Transitional justice? We're not Denmark. The New York Times article mentions something that sounds like science fiction for this government. Transitional justice, tribunals, truth commissions, transparency. Come on. That would mean Morena would have to admit they're not the saviors of the nation, but simply the new administrators of the same old networks of protection and impunity. Fresh revelations of irregularities could further undermine the party's legitimacy. Translation for those who still believe in the airplane raffle. If they open Pandora's box, they'll realize that the Hope of Mexico is funded by the same people who collect protection money in Guerrero, Chiapas, Sinaloa, among other states. That's how chaos becomes a tool for control. Sheridan brings up something brilliant. Scheinbaum knows that if she removes the politicians and high-ranking officials all at once, the country will explode. Because, ironically, those protection networks are what keep basic stability. To top it all off, the analysis reminds us that Claudia doesn't have it easy, not even in her own house. Morena is a hydra with 1,000 heads, and they all want to eat. Her control over the party is, let's say, unstable, not to say non-existent. Firmness shows in speech and results, but limits are set by electoral survival. The real enemy isn't the men in ski masks, but the ones in suits holding legislative and gubernatorial positions. Narco-government? To be clear, what happened in Tequila isn't isolated. It's a symptom of a terminal disease. In today's politics, criminals are nominated, backed in campaigns, and public complaints are ignored. And only when the scandal affects the interests of those at the top do they decide to seek justice and present it as a triumph of legality. They were told, they were warned. Not once, not twice, not 3 times. The signs were there, etched in the fear of the tequila merchants. For Morena, power is the priority, followed by people's safety. Well, that can wait until the next morning press conference. Anyway, take care of yourselves, because it's clear the government won't do it. That's how things are. Dear hidden and knowledgeable audience, the so-called real change turned out to be just a change of administration in the payrolls of organized crime. Make sure to check who wants your vote. Today they hug you, tomorrow their cartel friends might demand protection money. This is the X-ray of what the world sees, while the Presidenta walks on a tightrope, with the cartels on one side and Trump breathing down her neck on the other. I say goodbye, but before I go, let me remind you that if you see the security strategy isn't moving forward, it's not for lack of will, it's because of too many commitments. Keep enjoying your paper sovereignty. I'm off to see which international cover I'll be on next. Are they exposing us, like a neighbor who won't clean their yard? See you Monday for another episode of this comedy called Mexico. I'll read your comments. Remember that you can make your donations via PayPal. You can find the information in the comment box. Thanks to you, this channel stays active. Please subscribe, like, and press the bell for notifications on new content. Thank you.